The brain, the gut, the heart, and the nervous system are being shown to be the predictors of our health. If having real health is of interest to you, please listen to learn more, and welcome to the Brain Gut Connection podcast. Your host, Dave Bredhauer, will guide you through how everything inside us is connected, from our brain to our heart to our gut, how they all communicate, and how important your immune system is to this entire process. The Brain Gut Connection podcast. Let us get right into today's episode.
It's time for a quick gut check, literally. Have you ever wondered if there's a direct line from your brain to your gut? Spoiler alert, there is. And we've got all of the inside scoop waiting for you in the Brain Gut Connection newsletter. Every month, we dive deep into the stuff no one else is talking about, or maybe they just don't have the guts to. We're covering the real deal behind what's happening in that brain-gut highway, unpacking the science, the myths, and the little tricks that can make you feel a whole lot better. You'll find answers to questions like, is my gut messing with my mood? Or can what I eat last night really affect my focus today? Spoiler alert, again, it can. So, if you're ready to keep your brain and gut in harmony and maybe discover why they argue sometimes, head on over to www.braingutconnect.com/subscribe to sign up for the Brain Gut Connection newsletter. Your brain, your gut, and trust me on this, your whole body will thank you. Go on, give your gut a break. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Brain Gut Connection podcast. I'm your host, Dave Bredhauer, and today we have a truly inspiring guest with us. Joining us today is Santa Mike. Santa Mike comes to us just in time for holiday season this year with a message about stress over the holidays. Santa Mike specializes in making home visits to families with kids who have anxiety, ADD, ADHD, autism, basically any issue that make it difficult for them to go out and visit Santa at the mall. Today we're going to talk about stress during the holidays. Welcome, Santa. Happy to have you here.
Thank you, Dave. I'm thrilled to be invited. Thank you.
Yeah, looking forward to talking to you. So let's start off with my way I start off all the podcasts is, can you give the listeners, fill in some background for us, what you were doing, what led you to become Santa Mike?
Absolutely, yep. It was almost 40 years ago, and I was the new guy on the Parent Teachers Association at my children's school, the boys' school. And just about this time of year, running in towards November, the chairman of the association at one of the meetings said, now we need someone to be Santa. And everyone was suddenly busy on their, we couldn't. He said, Mr. Faculty, you're the new boy here. Will you do it? I couldn't say no. And I really didn't want to do it. I had a big ginger beard and longish ginger hair. And I was skinny. There were so many more people there, older guys that looked more like Santa than I did. But I got lumbered with doing it. And I agreed. And I said to Sue, my wife, I've been stuck with being Santa. And she's, well, you're not stuck with it. That's a wonderful thing to do. The children all talk about Santa. They all love Santa. Oh, okay, yeah. And in those days, the beards weren't as good as they are these days. The really good Santa pretend beards, the designer beards, and it was like a layer of cotton wool over a big ginger beard and ginger hair showing out under the hood. It wasn't even a Santa hat, and I looked ridiculous. But I was amazed because from the very first child that came in to see me, she ran over and grabbed my legs and said, I love you, Santa. And I was Santa. Red suit, sort of white beard. I was Santa. They believed it. And it was such a thrill because all this outpouring of happiness and joy at seeing Santa. And sorry,
when you first started off, just your kids, your boys' classrooms, is that who you serviced, if you will?
Yeah, it was going to the school hall for the Christmas fete, and the children would come with their parents to come and see Santa and have a little word and tell Santa what they wanted for Christmas. And the thing is, the parents were looking really happy too. It wasn't just the children. the grown-ups seem to get almost as much out of it as the kids.
So how many kids were in the class or in the school that you were seeing initially?
Well, there were about 30 kids in a class, and so probably 210 to 20 kids in the school overall. And
Wow.
and because it was this kind of setup, they each got a very short time with Santa. They didn't get very long at all. So it's more a case of, you know, here's a little present, and what you've been so good, and what is it you want for Christmas, and the parents listening in to know what they wanted for Christmas. And too late if they suddenly said they wanted something they hadn't mentioned before.
Sure.
And I found I loved it. And I was working in an office, and I volunteered to be the Santa at the office Christmas party that year, and every year after that until I eventually retired. And whatever school the boys were at, I volunteered to be their Santa. I just loved doing it.
So you start off in the classroom, a school, you migrated, you combine that with your workplace.
Yeah, so I did like the children's parties at work, the social thing at work. So different departments had different parties with or without children. I would also do it for departments that didn't have children in the party.
For
It
the
was just like,
adults.
yeah, yeah. So it was just grown-ups. Yeah.
So you've been doing this for 40 plus years.
Nearly 40 years. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. That's impressive. And at what point in time did you lose the ginger?
Oh, quite early. I had the salt and pepper beard for quite a long time while I still had ginger hair. And think I'm losing the last remnants from around my body. There's none left up here at all.
Interesting. I don't think I've ever seen a red-haired Santa before.
I could send you a photo afterwards if
Yeah,
you like.
yeah. I think that'd be a kicker. Uh,
Yeah.
so okay, so you went from you started off in your boys' school, moved to your workplace, and then where'd you progress from there?
Well, I didn't do any more really until I retired from having a proper office job. And then I saw a film on our local TV made by a group called Ministry of Fun, where they took some unemployed people and trained them to be Santas with designer beards, and they took four people, and one of them just kept drinking and smoking and didn't make it. The other three all made it as Santas. So I contacted them and said, "Are you looking for more Santas?" Because this seemed to imply that they were, and they were, and they found me some fabulous Santa jobs. But also then someone I've been making some films with, an actor, she called me and said, the garden centre I work at is looking to set up a Christmas grotto, which is like you have at the mall, where you just got the kids and the families come in and see Santa just for a little while. Would you be interested? So I wound up doing that at the weekends in December, as well as the other odd jobs, which were wonderful, wonderful jobs.
This is an interesting story. So you have an affinity toward children, obviously. Uh,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, I'm not sure. I know I'm not sure I would have the patience to have to deal with numerous kids, hundreds, it sounds like, in a day. Uh, you ever see the TV show or the movie Christmas Story
Yes.
with the elf and the Santa there at the store, kind of gruff and ill-mannered? Uh, yeah, interesting. So, okay, so what propelled you to start visiting families at home?
Well, I worked in the garden centre for about 6 years in the equivalent of a mall, and then COVID hit, and the garden centre couldn't run the grottos anymore. And they had people contacted them saying we need to have Santa Mike, because they had four Santas, but I was the most popular. I was the one with the real beard and the jolly laugh and things. Um, and so what we sorted out was they passed people on to me, and then I set up a Henley Santa group page on Facebook and spoke to them that way. And initially, I was going to do home visits, and I did a couple of home visits, but then the government here tightened up and said you can't go into another person's house. So I did garden visits and doorstep visits. So I'd be outside and they'd be inside. But then they tightened it up again and said you can't even go and visit the garden. And so I started doing them over this new thing that had been growing at the time called Zoom.
Right.
And I would do Zoom visits, and And I came to realize that some of the children that I'd seen at the garden centre, and they'd been like, if there were three kids in a family, two of them were all lovely and happy, and one would sort of hang back. Those children, when I did the home visits, just seemed to be much more relaxed and to interact much better with me. And I came to realize that that was because they perhaps had autism or something else, which made it difficult for them in the context of going to see Santa with lots of other people.
So then you transitioned from Zoom to once the pandemic was over and restrictions were lifted?
Yeah, I still use Zoom internationally for home visits because they've still got the benefits of it being Santa in their house at their time. But I've reverted to doing actual home visits in real life over here, and I've since been moving into doing more mixed things like breakfast with Santa at a local pub or a Santa cruise where the families come on a cruise over at Hobbs of Henley and they go up and down Henley, up and down the Thames at Henley with an entertainer. And then I come on with a grotto and the children come and see me and I give them a little present and chat with them. And that seems to be nice intermediate stage. It's not as stressful as going to the mall. Even over here, you have Santas in malls and it's queuing and queuing and queuing and music pumping out and crowds of people, it can be difficult.
So this is an international business for you.
Yes, it is, as you'd expect of Santa, I suppose.
Just like Santa, yeah. Yeah,
Absolutely, yeah.
that's
But
cool. So you're the families, I'm guessing you probably see the same families year after year after year now.
yes, it's quite common to see the same people.
That you're
But then,
established.
yeah, but then of course the children get older, and eventually, even the youngest children in the family are no longer quite up to having a Santa in the house.
Well, we all discover that Santa's not real, right?
How dare
Yeah,
you?
yeah. Sorry. Zipping on
What it is actually is, of course, Santa's real, but he's so busy he can't always come out and visit people himself, and so he's
Okay.
trained up some people like me, old
Okay.
fat men with white beards,
Okay.
to stand in for him. So never, I would never say, that I'm the real Santa.
I stand corrected.
Yeah,
Okay.
but
Okay. So let's talk about, Christmas being the most stressful time of the year for people. Let's talk about how we mentioned briefly, you come into the homes, targeting specifically kids with anxiety, et cetera, right? Gives them a chance to celebrate the holiday spirit uh, with Santa in the comforts of the confines of their own home. It reduces the stress on the parents. Do you find other ways that this helps people with stress over the holidays?
I think it does really, because getting a family, even if no one's got any particular needs that would make it harder, getting a family all together, all into the car, finding somewhere to park, waiting in line in the mall, it's stressful. And of course, the other thing is you go to the mall and you walk past all the shop windows with all those toys and all those lures. Whereas if I come into your home, or I mean, I'm saying but of course, lots and lots of Santas offer this. People in America, they can go on Gig Salad to find a Santa near them and check
Egg
their
salad?
Gig Salad. It's a piece of software where people can go and get people to do jobs, or gigs as they call it. And Gig Salad has loads of Santas, and they've all got reviews and things. You can check them out, make sure that they've got good reviews, that they are good, and have a proper look at them. Some people don't look as good as other people, and the children don't mind. I was telling you how bad my original Santa uniform was when I was doing it at the school. The children didn't care, but the grown-ups do. So if you've got family coming and you get a tatty Santa in a thing that looks like they should be out, it doesn't work very well. And the kids won't mind, but your mother-in-law might.
That harkens to another movie, Billy Bob Thornton, Dirty Santa, I think it was
Bad
called.
Santa.
Bad
Was it
Santa,
Bad
yeah,
Santa?
yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
A guy you wouldn't want anywhere near family or friends or family. Uh,
absolutely. So pick
so,
carefully.
so what other ways does Santa help reduce stress during the holidays?
I think possibly one of the real ways that perhaps not just Santa, but Christmas itself helps reduce stress is that you get the joy of giving a present, giving gifts to people. And that's a kick. Don't you think that's one of the greatest kicks going, that you give someone something and they appreciate it? That's in itself is like a stress reduction thing. Of course, there's lots of stresses that come with the holiday, which Santa can't help with. Making sure your dinner's cooked properly, all that sort of stuff, and working out who's going to sit at which table if you've got the whole family coming together. And indeed, if you're on your own, it can be a really stressful, lonely time of year. But hopefully, if you're thinking about Christmas and Santa and that, it will help.
Yeah, my son, he's a young adult now, but back when he was, I don't know, 8, 9 years old, give us a Christmas list. What do you want? What do you need? And he came up one year with, I have nothing. What do you mean you have nothing? I don't want anything. I don't need anything. And it's like, okay, dude, you're making my life. And it's been talking about stress. It's been that way ever since, right?
Yeah,
What do I get for you for Christmas? Dad, I don't need anything. I don't want anything. Self-sufficient, independent. But that's a stressor I have. My daughter's easy to buy for. All women, I think, are easy to buy for the most part. But my son. And then you mentioned something else. Families over the holiday getting together with, uncles and aunts and cousins and brothers and sisters that you don't get along well with. I've always found it to be a bit stressful as well. Uh,
yeah,
but yeah, given a gift, I do have to say, thinking about it, the appreciation, the gratitude that people express, if it's heartfelt, can be is a nice stroke, if you will. Uh, so I've run out of questions here, Mike. I apologize. Uh,
not a problem. What I was going to say is, even if you don't get to hear their gratitude, the giving the gift in it is for you as well as for them.
yeah, yeah, good point. Good point. Point taken. Yeah, I think we all fall short sometimes in just exactly what the power of gratitude has uh, in our lives, in the universe, etc. Right? The more grateful you are, the more things show up to be grateful for. Right? Uh,
Absolutely.
I
Yeah.
think that's something a lesson we can all learn for this
Mm.
holiday season. So, okay, so can you share with our listeners any words of good cheer for the coming year?
Yeah, can I just for a moment step back a bit? Because what you said about your son reminded me of something that happened
Sure,
one
by all
year.
means. By all
That
means.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Cut it out if it's no good.
No, you're fine.
I was being Santa for Berkshire Vision, which is a local charity for blind children. And I would say to the children, and what do you want for Christmas this year? And they all had something they wanted. But one little girl I said it to, and she said, Santa, I don't want anything for Christmas this year. I've got everything I need. I've got a mum and dad who love me, and there are so many children that need so much more than me. Can I give you my wish to give to one of them? And
Wow.
that was the most moving thing a child could say was, I don't want a Christmas present. So because she wanted it to go to children who needed it more.
Kids say the darndest things, right?
And I mean, I was crying then, and I'm close to tearing up again now. So,
Sure.
but that's what your son said reminded me of it because
Yeah, we
she was
need more we
much.
need more unselfish people in this world. Uh,
Mm.
I fear that selfishness is a dominant trait that you see in society over and over. Uh, I think it elevates stress levels in people. I'm going to be first. I'm going to cut you off because I need to get there before you do, etc. And we treat each other, especially in cars, right? We treat each other in ways we would not treat each other if we were outside the cars, and that's nothing but stress compounded, and that's it's not good for anybody. The person who's cutting someone off or the person being cut off, a double whammy. So,
Yeah.
is there anything else you'd like to share?
Yes, I don't want to belabor the point, but Christmas is a time to share things, a time to be happy. And there are many, many people who are not going to be happy at Christmas and they will be stressed out and thinking dangerous thoughts. There are agencies everywhere that you can get in touch with there'll be local church groups that are doing things for Christmas. You don't have to be religious to use a local church group to share a meal with you or help. And what I really want to say, perhaps, is one of the stresses we have is worrying about our children and not thinking our children are doing the right things. I would say to all grown-ups with children is be proud, appreciate your children because they are having a hard job. I always feel it was quite easy when I was a kid to be a kid, but these days children have got so many things pulling at them, so many pressures, telephones and the internet and so much stuff known about children by people and so much pressure to do things that they need their grown-ups, their parents, just to say, I love you and I appreciate you. And it's worth mentioning to them, even if they don't really believe anymore, that all children are on Santa's nice list. I don't have a naughty list for any children. All children are on the nice list.
Okay, we'll scream that from the rooftops, right?
Yes.
Yeah, because that was something that was lorded over us, right? If you're bad, you get a lump of coal in your stocking. And I'm be honest with you, I lived, steps from the train tracks where coal trains would go by, and I got a lumps of coal in my stocking more than once. So those were not fun Christmases. Uh,
No.
so is there anything else like to close with, Mike?
Well, I wonder, can I talk about the Santa mantra, which is not specific to what we've been doing?
No, that's fine, Mike. Please
Is that
do.
okay? Brilliant. I will. I have a philosophy or system, I don't know what you want to call it, called the Santa mantra. And Santa in that stands for show appreciation, nurture thoughtful actions. And it's a mantra that I would like to see applied in families, in schools, in churches, in businesses, and in society in general. You show appreciation, and that nurtures thoughtful actions. Um, Small startup companies, they often haven't got much money to give financial rewards to their staff. But do you know how far saying, you did a great job there, I really want to thank you, that is costs you virtually nothing. In fact, it costs you nothing.
Yeah.
But you can do small kindnesses as well. It needn't be, we're going to give you a full-blown Medicare package as part of your employment if you're starting out and you can't afford that. But letting people know that they are appreciated. I think was it what's his name? Laszlo Boch, when he was at the head of HR at Google, said that people who are not appreciated don't stay. And of course, that applies to customers too. And ultimately, it applies in your family, it applies to your children. Show them that you appreciate them because they can't just walk out today, but you're building distance if you're not. And there's no need to because they're wonderful, they're loved. Make sure they do too.
Yeah, when I was in the Marines, we're trained that Napoleon Bonaparte, right, the French uh, dictator general, was the one who created ribbons, and he discovered that what a man would do just to get a piece of cloth,
Mm.
right, just to be shown the appreciation for some heroic act, which most people, especially in times of war, that's talk about tough times. But what people would do for that, just to be acknowledged with a piece of cloth. Uh, very, very. So I love your Santa mantra. Show appreciation, nurture thoughtful action. I'm going to use that if you don't mind, Michael. I'm going to steal it from you.
Absolutely. Please, anyone, feel free to use that. It's a good way to live.
Yeah, I will concur with that. So if there's nothing else, Mike, we'll go ahead and sign off for the day.
That sounds good. If that's okay.
Yeah,
Unless, can I just very quickly say to all your viewers, listeners, audience, should we go with audience? Have a wonderful Christmas. Make sure if you've got children at home, you let them know how you feel. Make sure if you've got in-laws at home, you don't let them know how you feel. Make out like you like them. Sorry about that.
well, you mean outlaws, don't you?
Yeah.
Well, Mike, I want to thank you for showing up. I know this is an unusual podcast for the show, but I wanted to have you on because I think what you do is yet another example of people, doing more for them for others than they do for themselves. So thanks, Mike, for your time.
Thank you for having me along. I'm sorry I didn't do much about gut health, but I would recommend cookies.
Yeah, and milk, right?
Obviously, milk. Yeah.
Okay. Well, thanks again, Mike. I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Dave. Thanks for having me here. Good
Okay,
night, folks.
listeners, I appreciate you guys. We're gonna call it quits for the day for the show. I'll be back soon with another episode. About this time of the year. Have a very Merry Christmas and a very safe and Happy New Year. Bye for now.
Yeah.
If you'd like to meet Santa Mike, you can reach out to him via LinkedIn at linkedin.com/in/Mike -FACHERTY. He's on Facebook.com at Mike.FACHERTY. You can find him on Instagram under Henley Santa, HENLEYSANTA. And finally, his website, www.henleysanta.com. Have a Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. Take care.
We really hope you enjoyed this episode of the Brain Gut Connection podcast. Stay connected with us directly through www.braingutconnect.com. You can also join the discussion on Instagram at Brain Gut Connection and YouTube. If you would like to speak with us, please send us an email to dave@braingutconnect.com. And as always, thank you for listening. This concludes the most thought-provoking portion of your day. Until next time, stay happy, healthy, and educated.